All right, so this is Chapter 8, Section 3. I'm super excited. This is kind of my favorite part of Algebra 1. We are going to learn today about FOIL, and unlike science class, FOIL is an acronym. It is not a metallic element. So FOILing means we multiply the first, outer, inner, and last terms together. So if you look, this x here is the first term in my binomial. This 2 is it's an inner term. The x is my inner term. 5 is the last term. And technically, the second x is also a first term. And technically, this x is an outer term. Technically, this 2 is a last. And this 5 is an outer term. So you can be more than one thing. So just because you're a first doesn't mean you can't also be an outer.
I have a question.
Yeah, Rachel.
How do you know?
I'll show you. That's a great question. Okay, so you really have to, each step you have to kind of change the gears. I learned how to drive a stick shift. And you manually, it's called a manual transmission. You manually have to change the gears on that. It doesn't automatically do it for you. So, which is really fun to drink coffee and try to shift and drink and steer, and super awesome. Don't do that. It's really dangerous. But here you have to, when you're doing the first, you have to look at first only. Then when you're doing the outer, you have to look at the outers only. So, I'm going to give myself a clean palette here, just so I can look at onlys. So I'm going to multiply. So this guy is the first one of the binomial. This guy is also the first one in the binomial. So I'm going to multiply the two firsts together. X times x. I use the rainbow method. Okay, so the firsts multiplied together are x squared. So now, you guys are going to do this with me because it's fun. All right, so with your left foot, push in the clutch. Your right foot is the gas. With your hand, your right hand, sorry, my lefties, because the gear shift is on the right. With your right hand, go ahead and put your gear into first. So you got to push in the clutch in order to change gears. That's the first. Now we're going to put the clutch in again with our left foot. We're going to move our gear down into second gear. We're changing gears. That's how you change gears. We're changing gears. So now we're going to just do the outer items. So we're changing gears, so we're just doing the outer items. Some people are kinesthetic learners. Thinking of it as their body changing gears and going through that physical motion is helpful to remember. So the outside ones are the x and the 5. So I'm going to multiply together the 5 and the x. Those are the outer ones. We're going to shift gears again. So we went first down to outer, and then we're going to put in the clutch and push it back up. It's going to be the inner. So the ones on the inside are these guys here, the 2 and the x. Inside is going to get multiplied together. So plus 2 times x. Then we're going to change gears one more time. So we're up into third gear. We're going to push in the clutch and come back down. Fourth gear. And we are going to multiply the lasts together. So that's 2 times 5. So first, insides, outsides, and lasts. The way I think of it, let's.
No, you're just supposed to push the iron.
Yeah, it doesn't matter which order, but thank you for doing my spell check. There we go. 2 vowels a walk-in, the first does the talking. All right, so this is the nitty-gritty. Let me give you the overall generic theory, and if you want to switch this up so it makes sense in your brain, you can. So essentially, in my x plus 2, each of these gets multiplied to each of these. FOIL is just a way to make sure you're tracking. So x and a 5 are going to get multiplied both by this x here. X and the 5 are both going to get multiplied by this 2. So everything is going to get a chance to come get multiplied by each item in the other parentheses. So you're just making sure everybody gets multiplied by the x first, and then each one gets multiplied by the second part first as well. We can also use the box method. It works fine as well. I know Markham is super big on box method because we do it all the time at my house. Okay, so box method looks like this. You put the x and the 2 from your first one on your box, and you put the x and the 5 from your second one on top of the box. It doesn't matter who goes on what, as long as you get them both written down. So we are going to go x times x is equal to x squared. I'm going to circle it so you know which one it is. This one is going to go x times 5, which is equal to 5x. So wherever, like this guy's going to make sure we multiply this x by x and this 5 by x. And we got our 2. We're going to go 2 times the x. And we're going to go 2 times the 5. When we do that, the second step to the box method is to just write all of the circles together and attach them with their sign that's in between. So we have x squared plus 5x plus 2x plus 10. Can we simplify like terms? Can we combine like terms on this one? Yeah, so let's go ahead and do that for both of them. So for this top one, we can say 5x plus 2x is 7x. And we get the same thing when we do it here. X squared plus 7x plus 10. So remember when we were solving systems of equations, we could solve it by graphing, we could solve it by substitution, or we can solve it by elimination. This is the same here. You can multiply polynomials either by foiling, or you can multiply them using the box method. Either way, I want you guys to choose the way that makes you most comfortable. So if we apply this to problem 1, Juliet, do you want the box method or the FOIL method?
Foil.
FOIL, yay! You know that's my favorite, but I'm willing to do box as well. Okay, so we're going to go first, 2x times 3x. Outside, 2x times negative 7. You have to keep the sign with the number, unfortunately. Gotta keep the signs together. Inside, 4 times 3x. And then the last 4 times negative 7. Make my times a little bit bigger. Okay, well, let's go ahead and simplify those down. 2x times 3x is 6x squared. 2x times negative 7 is negative 14x. 4 times 3x is 12x. 4 times negative 7 is negative 28. And then let's combine those two x terms in the middle. Simplify that out. Negative 14x plus 12x is minus 2x. All right. Let me show you guys box method real quick. When you guys get good at one or the other of these methods, you can skip that combining. Like, I didn't need to write the time step because you can do that mentally. But until you feel confident, don't skip any steps. So box method on this first problem, it goes x times 4x, which is 4x squared, x times 3, which is 3x, and negative 6 times 4x, it's negative 24x, and negative 6 times 3 is negative 18. Make sure when it had the minus with the 6, it is stuck to that 6. Do not transfer it down unless the minus comes with it. I wish it were different, but it's not. So 4x squared plus 3x minus 24x minus 18. We're going to combine these middle terms together. Minus 21x minus 18. All right, we're going to take a couple moments, and you guys are going to do the now you try this together. You have to touch the recording button. It's the one over at the bottom on the right. This one? Yeah. All right, you guys, I'm going to roll through these quick. I'm going to use FOIL method for these two. 3a times a is 3a squared. 3a times negative 2. Come back with me. Come back with me, guys. Stay with me, guys. Checking your work. 3a times negative 2 is negative 6a. Negative 5 times a is negative 5a. And negative 5 times negative 2 is positive 10. Those of you guys on the last chapter, when you were doing your test corrections, you realized how important it was to keep track of those pluses and minuses. Some of you guys solved the system, found the right number, and then when you went to plug it in, forgot to include its negative value, so your x came out the wrong, even though you got the y correct. So you guys, it's super important now and for the rest of your math career, keep track of your positives and negatives. Okay, for the second one, we're going to go 3x times x is 3x squared. 3x times 2 is 6x. Negative 4 times x is negative 4x. And negative 4 times positive 2 is negative 8. Combine together your like terms, and you get 3x squared plus 2x minus 8. Once you check your answers, go ahead and turn the page. I demoed using boxes. You guys can use boxes or foil. We're just going to include more practice here. I'll use boxes just so that you know I know how to do it. So we put our x and our negative 3 on the length and our 4x minus 5 on the width. We got 4x times x, or 4x squared. We got x times negative 5, or negative 5x. Negative 3 times 4x gives us negative 12x. And negative 3 times negative 5 is positive 15. Because I already have it here, I'm going to combine together my like terms as I'm rewriting the problem. So it's going to go 4x squared minus 17x plus 15. That's a benefit of the box method. It's already written out, so you can do that step. So we got n and a negative 6, and a 4n and a 7. This is 4n squared, because n times 4n. N times 7 is 7n. Negative 6 times 4n is negative 24n. And negative 6 times 7 is negative 42. This is the reason, this moment right here, other than learning how to do division, this is the reason that we work so hard when you're younger to have you memorize your multiplication tables. If you had to look up or to count each of these items multiplying 7 times or 6 times 4, multiplying 7 times 6, if you had to look each of those up, this process would take a long time. It's a time saver to have my multiplication tables already memorized. So, in case you were wondering why we do that, this is one of the reasons. Okay, we're going to combine our like terms as we rewrite this. So we get 4n squared. Negative 24n plus 7n is negative 14n. And then we get minus 42. Okay, you guys are going to take a moment. If you haven't already tried box method, give it a whirl. It's not going to hurt. And if you only did box method before, give foil a whirl. Try to use both ways. All right, guys, check your answers. Check your answers. This is 3x squared plus 12x plus 1x plus 4. 3x squared plus 13x plus 4. Chickadee, check that answer. First one is 4x cubed. And it's 10x squared plus 6x minus 15. None of these are like terms. So we can't combine any of them together. So double check that you don't mush together these like terms, because nothing is alike. In order to add or subtract the same, the numbers, you have to have the same, not only the same letter, but the same exponent. So only x cubed with other x cubes, squares with other squares, x's with other x's. Okay. All right, so I learned how to do this using just distribution method. So everything gets multiplied. So everything in here, these three things, are first going to get multiplied by the 2x. And then they're all, and I'm going to write that all out, 1, 2, 3. And then they're all, again, going to get multiplied by the -7. So let me show you that way. And on the Now You Try first one, I'll show you the box for that. So the first one, I'm going to multiply everything by 2x. So 2x times 3x squared. Then the x, it's going to be 2x times x. Then it's going to be 2x times -5. Then I'm going to do that whole process again, but instead of using the 2x, I'm going to use the -7. So I'm going to go -7 times 3x squared plus -7 times x plus -7 times -5. Everything gets multiplied by the -7. Okay, now I'm going to simplify this all down and combine like terms. This is 6x cubed. This is 2x squared. This is -10x. So instead of, you can write that as plus -10x, or you can just not write the plus sign. This -7 times 3x squared is -21x squared. -7 times x is -7x. And -7 times -5 is 35. Now we're going to rewind our brain back to 8-1. So we're, in my mind, I'm traveling in time, going backwards. And we're going to take this problem, we're going to combine our like terms. So I'm going to go other cubes with other cubes. I don't have any other cubes. So I'm going to rewrite 6x cubed, and I'm going to cross it off my list so that I know I've dealt with it. X squareds with other x squared, 2x squared minus 21x squared is 19x squared. Cross it off my list. -10x with -7x is -17x. Then cross it off our list. And finally, we have our 35. Okay, that's how we use the distribution method. Everything in that second trinomial gets multiplied by each item in the front by.
On our test service, are we going to be able to do it both ways?
I won't care. Okay, so let's box this guy out. Okay, so we're going to box this guy. We're going to put x minus 3 on the side, and we're going to put 2x squared, -3x, and 1 on the top. And we're going to do our multiplication. X times 2x squared is 2x to the third. X times -3x is -3x squared. X times 1 is x. -3 times 2x squared is -6x squared. -3 times -3x, negative and negative is positive. And -3 times 1 is -3. Now, let's see, we've got these are alike. And these are alike. This is the benefit of doing the box method, is that your simplification process is a little bit more streamlined. So we got 2x cubed minus, so -6x squared minus 3 more x squared is -9x squared. Then we have 9x plus 1x is 10x. And we have -3, poor guy. Can't combine with anybody. Okay, I'm gonna pause the recording so that you guys can do the second problem here. Using any method you want.
Then you want to advance it faster.
Check your answer to that last problem. Oh, and then write your summary. So, Rebecca.